Whose money? Yours. Take that freaking money because it's now ours. Their quarter miles have 1320, but ours have 1776. This is Rip Roaring Garage. I'm Alex, and we're going to be doing a reaction to a random video that popped up in my recommended display and caught my eye. Let's see what the other side says. Okay, so this is, why is driving so dangerous? Now, just looking at the comments, you get an idea. Public transit is all made out to be more dangerous when really it's pretty cost effective. Yeah, it's cost effective when you're not paying for it and somebody else is. That's what I get the feeling. So I have not watched this at all. If you're seeing this, that means there's something interesting enough. Otherwise, into the trash bin.
How many Americans do you think died in car crashes back in 2020? Keep in mind, this was the height of the COVID pandemic. Lots of us were stuck at home and not driving nearly as much as usual. As a hint, here's some other ways people died that same year.
Already it's starting off with
do you have a guess?
a leaded and a loaded question. Because they're picking a couple of things. Machinery, yeah, where I want to see the machinery stats when people are working. Because he just said this was in 2020. People were still driving. There were lots of places that were not restricted, which actually, you know, some people were dumb, less traffic. They were flooring it, doing dumb things, and, you know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But this is how they lead and frame a question.
The answer is 40,698.
For a nation of 350.
That's 15% of all injury deaths that year.
This is more of a issue of workplace safety that is very high. Cutting and stabbing, this ain't the UK, buddy. And
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Most of America is landlocked.
2.1 million Americans were injured so severely by crashes that they needed to go to the emergency room. 2020 was an unusual year.
Also, every crash, you go to the ER. Why? Because that's what lawyers want you to do.
For a lot of reasons, but that part's pretty normal. More than 30,000 Americans have died in car crashes every single year since 1946. And what makes this so sad is there's no reason it has to be this way.
Yeah, it's called not having to pay for whatever the hell you want us to pay for. Life is dangerous. Life is risky.
Year, 11 of every 100,000 Americans die in a car crash. In the UK, that number's at 2.7. In Japan,
again, a country that is tiny. Like, you can go from one end to the other in what, couple hours, not days?
And it's a 3.1. The CDC studied a bunch of wealthy nations back in 2019 and found that the average is only 4.8. Less than half of the United States. We are the wealthiest nation on the planet. We can afford the safest, most cutting-edge technology in our cars and roads. So why are so many of our friends...
We don't want safest this, safest that. We don't want to drive with pillows all around my face and whatever. Life is dangerous. Exposure to danger grows you as a man. That's what gives you wisdom. If you're locked up in a cage all your life, you are no different than a child. Because you never faced consequences of your own actions. You never learned, oh, I'm going to burn myself. I'm going to do this.
And family members dying like this. Let's talk about why this is happening.
And of course, they don't mention the argument of you could do this because they know I'll say what I just said. Oh, no. Your family will die. This is emotional sophistry. I'm dumb today.
And what we can do to fix it.
Yeah, well,
so we can start with the thing that you're probably already thinking of. Americans drive a lot, way more than people in other wealthy countries. And
we're the biggest wealthy country with the biggest distances. And
you spend on the road, the more time there is for an accident to happen. Based on CDC data from 2019, we drive almost twice as much as people in...
Again, all these kinds of things, everything to lead you to an argument, a conclusion. He is predetermined to be correct. This is not science. This is politics.
Other wealthy countries. So why do we drive more than our counterparts in other countries? At first, you might think it's just because the United States is so large.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make sense unless you're a long-haul trucker.
No.
People aren't driving from one side of a country to the other every day. We spend most of our time in one place. We go.
Again, two major flaws. Just because I'm not going New York to LA ever doesn't mean that I'm not driving long distances just to see my cousin or a buddy. 100 miles is insane for somebody in Europe. They don't drive that far. We do. My mom used to live, 50 miles away from me. 50 miles away from where I am to where she was in Jersey. That's not close. Yet, I'd be there in about an hour, maybe less.
We go to work, we run errands, we get groceries, we go to the doctor. The normal stuff.
And also this idea of, we stay in the same place. Yeah, we're like little gerbils in a goddamn cage. This 50-minute city thing.
And none of those errands have anything to do with the size of the country.
Yes, they do.
They have to do with the design of the place that you live in. The reason we drive so much is because our cities have been designed to require us to drive.
No, our cities are designed based around the size of the property people have. You have big property, you got longer roads. But they're trying to do this corralling, pushing people into tiny little, pods.
Think about a typical American city. There might be a small downtown area, but for the most part, there's no way you can get around day to day by walking. It might be technically possible to survive without a car. Some of the poorest people are forced to do it every day.
Again, some of the poorest people in this country still have cars. They're trying to create this idea like, they know their audience. I'll give them that. The audience is typically, I don't even know. Like, wow. Okay. 391. I kind of feel bad punching down. But I'm not, I have no problem against the channel. It's the idea. So if you do go to this guy, right? Maybe I shouldn't even show his screen name. Whatever. The point is, it's the idea we're attacking here. Even if they might do the other way, then we...
But it's such a terrible experience that no one would ever willingly choose that.
That's not true either.
Compare that to cities like London, Tokyo, or Paris, where it's very easy to get around without a car.
And they're also very easy to get stabbed or pushed in front of a train. Like, we ignore that.
People who live in those cities can accomplish all those normal tasks without driving. And if they need to, they can always rent a car or call a taxi.
Again, you'll own nothing and be happy. What they're trying to convey is something that's been pushed onto them, and I don't know if they realize it or not.
Because those cities have that good transit infrastructure, people aren't constantly driving around and then dying in the car crashes.
Yeah, they're dying in trains, either for criminal acts or accidents of trains. Have you seen the Paris system lately? Or I almost feel like it's too easy of an argument to take the MTA. The MTA is a disaster. Buses that are pieces of junk, they keep breaking down. The trains that don't, you don't know. It's a gamble. Am I going to get to home or am I going to have to get off and walk? God knows what hour. It doesn't matter. You assume that you're paying for something, but you're not getting that service in return. Oh, the F train is canceled. C train is delayed. You got to take a shuttle and all that. And while it may sound to those of you that listen to Louis Rossman, this is the experience of everybody that set foot in New York. I challenge you to find somebody that has had an uninterrupted trip in New York City, tourist or anybody that's never, just passing through. It's impossible. They're always messed up.
So what would happen if American cities were designed better so that people didn't have to drive quite so much? Well,
yes, the arrogance of knowing better than the people in the past. That somehow they were just stupid and we're smart. This is that
cities
socialist
here that already
arrogance.
have decent public transit systems.
That's decent. Initially they avoid New York because I thought, they do. Let's stay away from New York. No, that the kind of good by American standards, I guess, zone. Yeah. Even he can't even say it with a straight face.
As of 2020, the United States has about 11.6 car crash deaths for every 100,000 people. If we look at some of our most car-infested cities, those
car-infested cities. Buddy, you're the infestation.
numbers
I'm
match
sorry.
up.
You know what? This is... I'm trying... It's a target infrastructure. Okay. Road design. Probably going to be like more bike lanes, more whatever.
Higher than what's actually safe for that environment.
Yeah. No.
Let's take a look at this typical suburban arterial. The natural speed is pretty high. Multiple lanes, a median, no tree cover. But it's an incredibly complicated driving environment. There's intersections, crosswalks, two-way traffic, stoplights, stop signs, pedestrians, shopping centers. And
oh my God, the horror. Something that everybody was doing at like 14, 15, or 16. It's complicated for this little urbanist brain.
a million other things. You have cars driving almost freeway speeds in an environment that is way harder to drive on than a freeway. In fact, around 80% of new cars sold in 2021 were SUVs and trucks.
Yeah, that's, women buyers love them SUVs.
People have the impression that SUVs are safer because they're so big, but that's not quite true. It depends on who you're...
Again, glossing over a statement, generalizing, trying to make, though they're not safe. You're safer on a bicycle. You're safer walking, but only if everybody else walks.
You're counting when you say safer. They can protect the driver better in certain situations, especially in...
Solutions.
Okay,
let's see
how do we fix this?
Of course, he shows a bus.
First and foremost, we need a massive investment in public transit.
There we go. What did I say at the beginning of the video? Money. Somebody else's money. Not my money. No. Massive investment. Who? Government investment. Whose money? Yours. Take that freaking money because it's now ours.
Transit. The Inflation Reduction Act gave about $3 billion.
Oh, the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, okay.
To fix some of those unsafe roads in poor areas.
Yeah.
And that's nice, but there's nothing in there for transit. The 2021 infrastructure bill allocated $109 billion for transit, but the same bill spent $432 billion on highways. Those numbers need to be reversed.
Yeah, more money in transit. Look at the budget for MTA. How many billion do they have? And what's the solution? Leaking stations, breaking down train cars, electrocuting train cars, fire on train cars. And they're doing that with, what, $8 billion? You want more money for something that doesn't work.
I'd argue that we shouldn't be spending money at all on new highway construction or expansion.
Yeah, because he lives in the city. I guarantee you. Therefore, we want to take all of your money for my benefit. Well, buddy, how about work, then pay taxes? Instead, you're here and I'm trying my best. I'm biting my tongue, not to mention 391 subscribers. Even though this channel is being recommended, I guarantee you ain't good. You might get a bunch of commies, but what's the advertisement for people that have no money and are broke that want somebody else's money? Oh, yeah, that's right. So have fun with... Okay, this is turning into me trying to react to watch Alex have an aneurysm.
Keep the existing highways repaired if we need to.
Okay,
we can't be investing money into a solution that's dangerous and won't scale.
Our own sale, right? The highway system didn't scale beautifully and resulted in economy and commerce, transport, and all. Yeah, I know buses. You can call me passionate about buses. There you go. Or how about that? Or even a good old MCI, Silverside. I drove these. When I say that buses serve one purpose only, and that is the parking issue. Nobody takes a bus because it's cheaper or faster. The car will be faster. The only time the bus is faster when there's a separate dedicated lane. And even that doesn't last, outside of rush hour. If you take in tickets, buying tickets, because I drove not for a public, for a city MTA or anything like that, or even New Jersey Transit. I drove for a private company. They had to make their own money. Even though the buses were given to them on a $1 lease, they still had to pay drivers. They had to pay mechanics and all this other stuff. Yeah, you get revenue from tickets and revenue from advertising on the side of the bus. So I know when I'm saying that if you were to scale this up larger, it can't work. Now you need more drivers, people, humans, right? We get tired. Now you can say, oh, well, self-driving and all that. Fine. Maybe you can devise some public transport that's self-driving, but the people themselves still get tired. Ironically, you get more tired sitting on a bus or a plane than you would when you're driving. Yeah, you're exerted, but somehow that brain activity of driving keeps you, I don't know, more well-rested. Assuming you have some testosterone. Maybe it's an issue of biology and they just can't. The little bitty tiny birds can't do it. But what I was saying is the issue of buses being that you got to park your car. Yeah, that's where a bus comes in handy. So you go to work. You don't have to worry about where you're parking, adding some time. You don't know if you're going to find the spot or not. So you just take the bus. When you're going home to a friend where parking is a non-issue, then yeah, you take your car. You get there way faster and cheaper. If you're just spending on your own gas, maintenance and whatnot, it's cheaper than a bus. This is why people in trailer parks that are some of the poorest people in this country, they'll still have a car or a truck or something. And there's no real need or even desire for a bus. Yeah, sure, there's the kids that sometimes, would need, and we have a system for that, school buses, because they cannot drive. But once they're old enough, bam, they used to be. So this is pure propaganda.
We need to embrace transit-oriented development.
Yes, we need to redesign the entire city that has evolved in a certain way, that every other civilization country has come to this conclusion that somehow there's some great conspiracy that all cities must be crowded and gross. No, that's what happens when you put lots of crap on top of each other.
The zoning codes in our big cities. Public transit cannot work effectively when every construction is huge.
You want money. Update car safety. Oh, great. More safety because people won't just drive dumber. We've seen this. Car accidents kind of stay the same. Yeah, there's growth because of population growth, not because of safety issues. People find stupider, dumber things to do behind the wheel. And it's, Darwinism. Yeah, and this is something I broke my neck because of some dumb lady. But that's risk. That's life. You move on.
Each vehicle.
Stop exempting. So there you go. So tax more people. And what happens when they stop making SUVs? Car companies go out of business, more unemployment. Well, now we need to tax the rich even more. Now they'll be like, no, I'm going to go to China. It's more free in China than in America, like certain oil companies are doing. And then you have a spiraling economy because this is what happens with you freaking commies. Historical context. You're allergic to history.
Today than they were back in the 1900s. And that's not because humans are better
1900s. Yeah, this is Zoomer millennial. The 1900s. Ooh, so far along.
Drivers or have better personal responsibility than we did back then.
Yeah, we did.
It's because we fixed a bunch of the problems.
No.
We forced car manufacturers to put in air.
You hear that? We forced. So take their money, spend their money, increase taxes, and if they don't want to, force them. That's like land of the free, home of the brave. Right. Land of the free, home of the slave. This, I can't even give him a like on this way. I'll do it on my other account. Because this is, I don't even know what to say. Communists. And last video, you saw what I was talking about when it comes to, the communist delusions they had and how it ended up with Romania and pretty much every other country behind the Iron Curtain. It ends up with famine and misery. But there's always going to be idiots that fantasize that it was better back then because they're thinking that they will be party members and chairman and secretary of this and that. No, you will be in a gulag with the rest of us. We're nobodies here. But Lenin called them the useful idiots. Anyways, I'm ranting enough as it is. This is I don't know if this is going to be a good video. I don't know if this is a good experiment or not. I thought it'd be interesting. I thought this guy would not be so extreme. I honestly did not think he would be just a flat out commie authoritarian that we need to take and force and this and that. So screw him, screw his channel, screw his ideas. At this point, you can't even make arguments with them. Just let it, like the Chinese say, let it rot. So let it rot, but not all the way. Just enough till they feel some of that pain, the suffering, and the economy, this and that. And then when they've had enough, because they're weak, they can't handle enough, that's when it's time. So, I'm Alex. This is Rip Roaring Garage, where oil is thicker than blood. Hand me that like, and have a rip roaring day.